Cisco 49 is deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99.
This is the 49er Faithful UK show, and that was a steaming pile of Week 11, a game that certainly did not go as we expected it to on the preview show. A dismal home loss to the Seahawks killed off whatever momentum we had hoped to build after the bye week and leaves us fighting for a playoff spot in a crowded NFC West. I'm Gareth Ellis, and the therapists are in. It's Paul Hope.
Hi, everyone.
Najee Kawal.
Hello, everyone.
And still very delicate, Lee Gowland.
I'm not that delicate, fellas. I'm not. Honestly, I'm a lot better than I was last week.
At
least I wasn't trying to do deep breathing exercises like last week in Belfast.
What, birthing exercises?
Birthing.
Exactly. That's what it was.
Yeah, let's not go there. I think we all know how the game went. I think we all want to get this done, don't we? Have you managed to distill any talking points which are suitable for a family-friendly show? Paul?
Kinda.
Yeah, so my first one, the 49ers show exactly who they are. My second point is struggling offense is a big red flag, no knockout punch. And my third point, which has been a hot topic in the group today, is simply Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Very good. Najee, what have you got?
My first point is poor JJ. Second time he has an incredible game and we lose it on the last drive. It's just unbelievable. My second point is obviously about Kyle. We have to talk about the team in general, and that goes through Kyle Shanahan. My third point is, where's Fred?
Where's Fred indeed? Lee, what have you got?
So I've only got the one, and it is, we need to fire the offensive coordinator.
Ooh,
Oof.
that is bold.
bold.
What we've come to expect. Yeah, let's. What have I got? I've got too many flags, too little depth, and running out of time. We can take that in any number of ways. So I shall start. I think we've got to probably start with Shani. OC. It's the one we've all, I think, basically had something to say with. Lee, you were boldest with fire the OC. Would you care to elaborate on that?
So we've said this time and time again. Kyle gets in his own way all the time. He doesn't look as though he can handle both the head coaching role and the offensive coordinator role. And we should bring in an offensive coordinator, somebody who can actually concentrate on that particular role, because it's a big role. And to have him as both the head coach and the offensive coordinator, I think it is impacting the team, because we have got a very talented roster. Yes, we've got injuries. Every team has injuries. But last night, we should have been able to beat the Seahawks at home with the players that we had. And that was down to Kyle. It was down to some dodgy play calling, some mind-blowing play calling at times, some stubbornness. A good example would be, where's Jordan Mason gone?
I know.
Yeah. And this is all on Kyle. And
Totally.
we had this conversation off air. I wasn't quite sure whether, is he a bad head coach or is he a bad offensive coordinator? Because we know he can design players, but he doesn't seem to be able to call those players effectively when the back's against the wall. And I think it's because of the two roles he has, which is why I think he needs to separate them.
I totally agree, but I'll let Paul elaborate, or Najee, whoever's ready. Najee, go on.
All right, I'll go. Yeah, I agree. I think my opinion is about the head coach. I think we've talked about this for a number of years now, and we kind of let it slide because he's getting help and he's getting assistance and whatever. And the results have been good for the past 5 years. But the problem isn't so much, how the game is called and on offense how we look. It's the minor little tiny thing. I think the biggest question, and you've just said it, is where's Jordan Mason? Why? The guy that ran for 268 yards against the Seahawks 5 weeks ago isn't on the field. And this is just completely nuts to me, how we mismanage personnel very often. And this is head coach. That's got nothing to do with the OC. It's got nothing to do with general managers and assistant coach. This is head coach. The guy decides who's in, who's on. He can have a feel for the game and who's good and what needs to happen. The fact that we scored 17 points on one of the worst defense, arguably that played a very good game. So clearly what we were saying about Dotson and in the preview was kind of wrong. They clearly jittered something and they were much better. Doesn't excuses it. But how did we not transition into something else? Try something. Where's the deep ball? We haven't had a deep pass in 5 or 6 weeks. It looks to me like we're back with Jimmy and the limitation that he had. And all of a sudden, I'm starting questioning myself: was it Jimmy or was it Kyle all along? And yeah, it's concerning.
That is bold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can answer that one. It was Jimmy.
Okay, yes, perhaps. But last night, Brock looked like Jimmy on a good day. There was nothing special apart from a few runs and a touchdown, which was amazing. Yeah, he could complete a few passes down the middle, but where was the rest of his game? Where was what we were accustomed to? And where's the deep threat? Where is everything else that we've seen before? Where was Debo? How's Debo not involved in this game with Kittle on the bench? How is it just JJ and a little bit of CMC? I don't. Yeah, yeah, something needs to change. We definitely cannot carry on playing like this, otherwise we're going to end up 12-5, 5-12 even. It's just, yeah, that wasn't good enough last night. We almost got away with it, almost. They needed a crazy drive on the end to do it on a gassed defense. I've got nothing to say against the defense as a whole, but yeah, it's not good enough. Not with the personnel we have, not with the talent we have, and not what we've been showing in the past. I'm not quite sure what happens, but bad head coaching is definitely on the cards.
I mean, to back Nadji up there and what Lee was saying, we had 277 total yards of offense last night, our lowest output since week 6, 2023. Our longest play was 22 yards. And as you have alluded to, Jordan Mason ran all over the Seahawks. He got the ball on, he came in one series, 2 carries for 13 yards, looked explosive, didn't see the ball for the rest of the game. And it's been a hot topic in the group today. I mean, I like how Lee did it at the start. He said he would fire the offensive coordinator, not the head coach. For clarity, I've enjoyed some of the discussions today, Gareth, because after a performance like that, I was never going to come on a podcast and defend that team. That showing was ridiculous. Half time, it was just poor. And like Nadji said, we nearly got away with it. And is part of the discussion, chaps, that Shanahan's lost that many assistants over the years, that now defenses kind of have the blueprint. And what's weird is defenses are attacking our offense. We've not seen that as 49ers fans. You know, we saw it last year with the Ravens game. We saw it with Flores. Put pressure on the quarterback. And I think, is it Kurt Blenkinsop, the backup QB? He put a big post on Twitter today to say when he was at the 49ers, they don't audible at the line of scrimmage. What they do is they throw to the hot read. And teams are working that out. Look at that one to Debo at the end. It was airmailed to him. It was high and over. But the Seahawks defenders were daring Brock to throw it over the middle of the field.
I mean,
like you said,
all of the throws that Brock made, if it wasn't for JJ being having an incredible day and making catches that he should have not made because the guy's on his back, it's even worse than now. We did not look good. JJ had an incredible game, probably the best game I've seen by a wide receiver in a long time.
Yeah,
but
I mean, CMC 19 carries for 79 yards, as you said. We ran all over them in Seattle. Where was the run game? You have a good run game. You have a good play action. And it just like you said, Nadji, you know, Kittle was out. It was a big miss. But playing Jalen Moore as a backup tight end, that's on the head coach. You know, I'm not going to come on the show and be like, we need to keep Kyle Shanahan. He's got credit in the bank, for want of a better word. We have been spoilt as Niners fans with the run that we've had. But this team, as I said at the start, has shown us who they are. And that starts at the top. We've all been quick on this show to praise Kyle. We're a 5-5 team, and our boy Fred said it better than me, Nadji. It's infuriating. It's not like us, but it's just what we've shown this year. Until we stop doing it, that's who we are. Yeah. And that's what Kyle Shanahan's putting on the field, chaps.
Yeah, that's correct. Just for the record, I do want to say that I'm not in one of those that camp that says that we should get rid of him. I still think he's a good coach, and he's especially in the middle of the season. There's absolutely no point throwing it all out bag. We are 5-5. Everything is still to play for, and the sky is not falling in. Paul loves to say the
I do
season
like to
is.
say that, Najee.
You
It's
do
not
love to say
falling
that.
in.
There is 7 more games to play, and if we were to win those 7 games, we will be 12-5, as I said earlier, and that would probably, most definitely, qualify us for the playoffs. And that's, at this point, I think that's all we can hope for. But I am not in one of those camps that we should fire him. Because I don't see any good replacement on the market right now. I don't think there is. I might be mistaken. People, let us know, throw names at us, see what we can
Do you
discuss
think
about.
Shanahan would accept an OC coming, Lee? I know you said at the start you would sack the
That's the
offensive
problem, isn't
coordinator.
it?
Do you think
See,
Carl could stay as head coach and bring someone in? Because I'm like Najee, I don't want to see Shanahan go.
So
Just
I'm
for
going to say
record.
no. I don't think he
No.
will, but that's because of the setup in our organisation is all wrong. The GM should be the person with the power, with the hiring power for coaches, but it's the opposite way around because it was Kyle that brought John Lynch in, and
Yeah, it's
Kyle
a
seems
team
to have
thing,
all the
isn't
power.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so he wouldn't. But it should be John's job to say, Kyle, I'm going to bring in an OC.
Yeah.
Who's going to call the players from now on?
And lighten the load a little bit, like you've said. I
Yeah.
mean, you mentioned penalties. It's all linked in this therapy session. Everyone. I mean, we were penalised 9 times at home last night. I think it was something like 54 yards of offence, but 54 yards of penalties, but 7 of those were against the offence, and we were all sat watching drive after drive break down. There's a flag, and we're not blaming the refs, Najee. That's not what we do
No,
on
all
the
those
show.
flags are justified.
Yeah.
They're not even questionable.
Yeah, poor discipline.
Very poor discipline. Very, very poor discipline. And again, momentum managing is just not a thing. We just do not seem to be able to grasp a little bit of momentum, be on top, and just play to keep that momentum, because that's what's going to win you the game when it's the last drive of the game, rather than just throwing it all away on just silly penalties and weird. Can we stop doing the Debo end around? It doesn't work this year. People know when it's coming. Can we please stop doing it?
It hasn't worked properly for a couple of years. It
It's
worked
just-
briefly when it was new, and it was very
worked against
successful.
Dallas last year. We scored a
Yeah,
really nice touchdown once against Dallas last year. Let's stop it. Like, just have a look at the stats. Why are we on minus yards versus plus yard on that play? Just scrap it. Get rid of that play. It's just that's what I'm saying. And if I can see it from my couch in England on a 46-inch screen TV, how can somebody not understand that is quality control not see that and relay this down? Or it is relayed down and it's ignored, which is even worse. And this is where the questions need to start being asked and answered.
Yeah, I think this is where the issue has been. It's who's got the power. I think we did have a little bit of a discussion before we started. I think Kyle has been excellent at building a team. The way we've built through the draft, whether it's him and or John Lynch, they've got to work together. They've traded well. They've drafted well. They've built a good team. We've built a team who's fought for each other. And we haven't had, other than a couple of wide receivers who've put the trade requests in for leverage, we haven't ever had players who we want to keep leave. We've always been in charge of what players we keep. These are good signs of well-run organisations and players who are getting behind the coach. But for all of that good stuff that we've seen over and over again, which is clearly part of Kyle, we see the same problems over and over again. How many times have we talked about this, about players going missing because they seem to be forgotten? How many times have we talked and get frustrated that we try an offensive play and it fails, so we try it again and it fails, we try it again and it fails, and we try it again like at a key time when it's 3rd and 7. And it's like, you've tried it 3 times and it failed then. It's not going to work on 3rd and 7 late in the 3rd quarter when we need it. And I think this year has really, I think obviously the injuries haven't helped, but as we said, everyone's got injuries. We've got a huge amount of talent that just doesn't seem to be used. I mean, Debo is pretty anonymous. I didn't think he had a great season last season. I don't think it's on him. I don't know that we know how to use all these players anymore, because we've not cycled through offensive coordinators, which I think, for example, Andy Reid and other successful coaches, Mike Tomlin, they cycle through these coordinators. So it means there's always some fresh ideas. It's always a little bit of a wrinkle. It's always a little bit different. And they cycle through players. I always thought one of the things that the Chiefs did really well was the one time they didn't win the Super Bowl, they traded away Tyreek Hill. Their top offensive weapon, the big threat, he went because they reinvented what their offense. And I think one of the things we've added people. We added CMC, we added Ayuk, we've added JJ, but we haven't really changed. And we've been found out this year. And I don't think the offense has got any answer. We appear a shadow of the powerhouse, bully, offensive juggernaut that we were. And the only thing that's holding us together is broken plays. And it's Brock and it's other players like JJ pulling something out of the bag. And that's what's held us together so far this season. Are we going to say anything more on Shanahan and OC?
I mean, I think we said it all. Something needs to happen.
We've all had a little rant. Do we feel better?
Not really. It's not a nice thing.
It's not
a nice thing to.
I'm not saying sack him now either.
And it's also so much easier when we lose to point fingers and. Had we won this game, would we be talking about Kyle?
No, but I think when we win, we gloss over the failings that, to be honest, we all see are there. But when you win, you can get over it. It's just like it's fine. We'll put that to bed as we did against Tampa Bay. We thought that's all right. We've come off the bye. We've got over the hump. The players are coming back. We'll get better. And then we've fallen flat on our backsides again. So
I just want to put all of this into context and looking ahead. And we're playing a decent Packers team, which is definitely beatable on Sunday. And what happens if we destroy them 45-0? This is what I'm saying. I think that we're still here. The team that was good last year is still here.
Bold prediction, Najee.
It can still happen. That's not what I'm going to go for.
Lee's already written it down. I mean, to be fair, Najee, we're getting the quotes out tonight. You always say on this show the eye test, and to answer your question, Gareth,
that's what I'm saying.
Didn't pass the eye test, and I think for the first time in a long time, people tuning into this show were probably expecting some kind of group therapy, but we've not come on tonight and been all positive and glossed it over. As you said, the play calling, it's disjointed, it's not aggressive. The tempo, I chuckled at Fred Warner pointing at Geno Smith last night when he was trying to get us to jump offside. It's the same with the jet sweeps. Like you said, as soon as Debo goes in motion or Juice goes in motion, the defenders are just stood there thinking, yeah, we've seen this. All smoke and mirrors. Nothing's happening. And Ricky Purcell, we know Kyle doesn't trust rookies, but Purcell's been the more effective route runner and wide receiver over the last few weeks rather than Debo. But it just felt like Kyle wanted to target Debo to prove that he was cleverer than Mike McDonald. And that's not Debo's strength. Use him in that wide back role. Give him the quick slants behind the line of scrimmage. But that one where we say it was a bit on Brock, Najee, where it was air-mailed over. Debo's not catching that really. Why are you dialing that play up in that moment when a few first downs ices the game? And it comes back to that kind of fourth quarter game management, Gareth, where you've been terrible at that this season. We should be sat here 8-2. 8-2. We've lost 3 games in division that we have lost. They haven't beat us. We have lost. And that's why people are frustrated, chaps. And that's why the discussion had to be had. But like Najee Carrara said, we're not out of it. Locking that 45-0 prediction for Sunday. It's coming.
Oh, God. What have I done? I'm just... what I'm getting at is this is now under scrutiny. And I am going to be watching games a very different way because of this last game. This is the Broncos from a few years ago when Jimmy was there. Those kind of games that just really hurt and I will never forget. So yeah, something needs to change.
We've had it's not that bad day at the office game. That one, like the Ravens last year on Christmas Day, that was a day where we just nothing would work for us. We didn't look bad. It was just one of those days where nothing goes your way. every team has that. You put that, you forget it, and you move on. This was one where we just didn't look like a good team. We didn't. Certainly offensively. I think defense, none of us have really mentioned that, but I would certainly be of the opinion that the defense didn't actually play too badly.
No,
There we go. Agreed.
I
Yeah,
kind of agree.
can't.
But
Yeah.
where is Fred? That was where I was getting to on the defensive side.
Yeah, that was one of my points. No,
It's
I
no
agree with you. I thought the defense did play pretty well, considering if you look at the box score, Smith and Jibba and our friend DK had a pretty decent game, but that's what's going to happen when you're two corners down, and we're definitely missing Mooney, and Ronaldo Green exited again with the toe. I know he came back, but we had Yadam and Riyok Yassin in there, so it was kind of expected them to have a decent game. But despite all this, you let a team score 20 points. You should win a game at home against a divisional opponent. This 20 points is not a lot, especially when 7 of those points were on the last drive. Yeah, we did hold them to 13.
Should have been garbage time points for them.
Which should have been garbage time at that point. You held them to 4.
They shouldn't have had the ball back, Nadji, should they?
No,
3
they
minutes
shouldn't
and
have not
56
had that ball
seconds
back.
left.
Totally.
The defence are coming off the field. Fred's pumping his chest. It wasn't his best game.
Yep, stop them on fourth.
We were all giddy. I was thinking, phew, we've survived this one like the Buccaneers. So, like you said, Gareth, you can't blame the defence for this one.
No,
Even though that last drive was pretty horrific to watch.
They're absolutely gassed, and you can tell there wasn't even a scheme thing or something got forgotten. They were completely gassed. But back to my point, where is Fred? When was the last time we saw Fred make a big play? It's been a while. It's been a few weeks, and we clearly need him to step up a little bit. Now, is he back to his doing too much because of? I'm going to say it again. I know he has a family.
The guy next to him.
The guy next to him.
He made a tackle on Sunday.
He's not good enough though, compared to what we need those two linebackers to do. It's just not good enough, especially in coverage again.
He was actually our second highest graded defender.
Yeah, but he wasn't that good.
Coverage.
You can still throw at me all the PFF stats you want. The eye test, he's nowhere near to be seen. Yeah, he had a couple of good plays, and that's probably why his score is quite high. But I don't know. I just feel like Bosa was having a good game until he exited because of the hip again. 2 sacks is more than he's had in the past. No, it's hard to fault the defense really, especially. Again, missing Hargrave, we're missing Dre, we're missing Huff, we're missing Mooney. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of players on the bench or not even on the bench. It's hard to play elite defense when you're missing that many elite players. So, yeah, I can't really fault them. I will say it wasn't Fred's best game, but maybe again he's one of those time where he's trying too much. It's just be yourself, Fred. Just do you. And if people mess up, it's not on you. So, yeah, hopefully the defense can have some pieces back, some people back.
I mean, on Fred, he had 4 tackles, by the looks of it last night, Nadji. 2 for stops. But we're used to that number being closer to 10. He had a team high 103.1 passer rating because he was targeted 4 times, 4 receptions for 35 yards. But teams are attacking the man who has a family, which is now attributed to you. Whenever I see him on the field, I just think of you, Nadji. And me and Connor were both chuckling last night because we made 1 tackle. And I think Connor was like, I don't care if that man's got a family. I agree with Nadji Karar. Get him off the team. So it's sticking, Nadji. But you're right. We used to Superman. We used to the Defensive Player of the Year, All-Pro Fred. And he has been quiet. But like you said, you've just named a load of pieces. And obviously the emotional toll. Travarius Ward was missing again. Obvious reasons. It was nice to see the team acknowledge that at the start. They put a banner up on the board. Like you said, he's going to take as long as he needs. And, it's a key piece missing from the defence. And all credit to Seattle. Actually, their game plan was better than ours. The punch was in the mouth and they walked out 20-17 winners. And it hurt, Gareth. It hurt badly.
It did. But, again, it's a game we lost more than we got beaten, I think. We should have won. We should have won the game. But it's that poor execution, and it's that inability for the offense. As we said, the defense makes a stop, 4th down, we get the ball back with 3 minutes and we can't get a yard. That's not. My words that went through my mind at the time were, "That's pathetic."
It
I
is
just
pathetic.
thought we've taken no time off the clock, and then that gas defense just has to come back on. And I think physically
Jonathan
and exactly. Why
Why is
isn't
Jordan
Why
Mason on the field for 1 yard run?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Do you not think Carl gets a bit cute? We all were jumping up and down in the Discord because it was 3 or 4 first downs and the game's over. It should have been a first down, and it wasn't. And then Geno Smith gets the ball back, and he went 80 yards, 2 minutes and 26 seconds. And that last play, for me, it was Campbell. When you look at the all 22, they've all gone in kind of man.
Shameful.
Geno's
man
escaped out the
coverage.
pocket. How many? Yeah, I know, Najee, but
tough.
he's escaped out the pocket. And how many times have we seen? And there's a still where I think Warner recognised it a bit late. Campbell recognised it, and there's no way they're catching Geno Smith. And it was like the Russell Wilson of old, using his legs.
Yeah.
And as he was powering towards that, I thought, are you kidding me? This is how we're losing this bloody game for the first time in years to the Seattle Seahawks. But you said, Gareth, they were gassed. So I'm not blaming the defence because they shouldn't have been in that position. We should have iced this game.
It's complementary football. I think not only physically, but I think there's that mental exhaustion. You've just got them off the field. You've stopped them on that 4th and inches, and you've plugged them. All you need to do is for your offense to even just get a minute and a half, or pin them down and let them run out of time. And we got nothing. And that must be so demoralising for the defense to trudge back on the field.
For some reason, we throw passage, which stops the clock, and it's just that last 2 minutes was an absolute shamble of coaching and playing.
Took a timeout, then the challenges, which lost us the timeouts towards the end.
It's the kind of performance where you'd sack your OC.
Yeah. It is. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It is. If this is a bad team that's struggling, they'll probably scrape everything and start again. It's.
I think that last drive, though, Najee's goal, what was the killer, as you said, Gareth, there. Geno on that last drive, 7 for 8 for 54 yards. He had 29 rushing yards, but there was a couple of 3rd and 5 where he hit an 8-yard completion, and there was a 3rd and 3 and he hit a 15-yard completion. And that sinking feeling of like, we're not going to get the ball back.
We just can't get the
again. We had 12 seconds. I wasn't expecting a Hail Mary, but I was expecting something a little bit better than what they dialed up. I was like, we might as well just took a knee for some of the stuff we were doing.
Yeah, at least taking a knee, we would have removed any risk of injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been quietly. I know you only had the 1 point. I was going to talk a little bit about flags. We've touched on it briefly. That ties into your fire OC as well. Are these sort of things just down to poor concentration from individual players, or how much is it coaching and preparation?
I think it's all coaching and preparation. If you don't do it during the week, they're not going to do it on game day, and that's down to the coaches. I think that you can't put it anywhere else. I mean, everybody's seen football life with Bill Walsh, and you saw what he was like as a coach. He would drill it into them day after day after day, and he'd ball out some of his assistant coaches, even though they were doing a good job. He'd ball them out in front of other players to kind of get that respect. Make the point, but then go over the assistant coach and say, it's all right, you're doing a good job. I just wanted to make a point. Yeah? And it's all about discipline. And at the moment, I mean, dare I say it, is he potentially losing the locker room? Because of stuff like the last 2 minutes where we can't get that yard. Because he's so stubborn. Players now think, you know what, we're never going to win this. We're never going to win this because he's never going to change. And it goes back, and I'll just keep on reiterating this point. We need an OC. We need a full-time OC. It'd be really handy if the Dolphins can go and fire Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
And they're bringing the gang back. Salah, McDaniel. We're getting the gang back together by the sound of it, currently.
You say that, but, I do feel like this is kind of what we're missing. I feel like Salah and McDaniel and DeMeco Ryans were the kind of people that would probably hold Kyle accountable and be like, "Hey, dude, what is going on? Why are we doing this? No, let's run this play. Let's do this." And who's doing this right now on our team? It's a bunch of new people that have been promoted, and it's just lacking. It should be John Lynch at this point, but it's
No,
probably
it's a
busy
good point. If you look at
you
their
know,
history, if you look at when they were all assistants, McVeigh, McDaniel, Shanahan, the rumours were they all used to sit around that Gene, obviously ball each other out. And apparently McVeigh has that culture in Los Angeles, if it's to be believed. He is the head coach, but he wants you to tell him. And it's a struggle, like Lee said. Maybe it is time for that conversation. I didn't know whether we had Bosa on our points, Gareth, but I did do some digging on the stats before we move on to score prediction. So when Bosa was on the field, Seattle only averaged 3.3 yards per play. When he was off the field, they averaged 6.1 yards, and all 20 of Seattle's points were scored when Bosa was out of the game. Now, I'm not saying Nick Bosa was Superman, that Gene. It's been
no, he was
well
having a better game
documented
though.
that he's had a poor game. But I did like the shout out on Discord. I saw that, Nadji, where you tagged me. I get all the credit for that, apparently.
So Nick Bosa was only on the field for 26 snaps out of 60.
Yeah, we definitely missed him. He was having a better game, and then he clearly couldn't keep going. Again, it's just a symptom of everything that's happened at the moment. Everybody's injured, and it's demoralizing.
But that links back into the head coach. Like, we all talked on the show, Nadji, about the lack of depth at D-line. And when Bosa went out, Seattle weren't scared. And Geno Smith came into his own because he knew. Where was the pressure coming from the edge? And like you say, he was targeting Campbell, and it's a worry because I don't know. I think it was his other side that he's injured now, Lee. I don't know whether I'm right. Apparently, he had one side that he was carrying a knock before he went in, and it's the other side. So he's injured on both obliques. And obviously, he's in better shape than I am, Nick Bosa, so I'm hoping he's going to bounce back, Nadji, but bloody hell, injuries are mounting up as well.
But this was one of my points, which was too little depth. We've been a victim of the success of drafting well and having to pay all of these players top dollar. And I think with the Ayuk one, we talked about it in the off-season. We thought, well, if Ayuk goes, that's more money to perhaps spread around. And I think we've begun to see that any player can get injured. And we've got so much money on the injury table, in the treatment room, that we just don't seem to have the depth. And I think when we have players missing, of course, everyone's going to miss someone like Kittle, but we just simply haven't got a replacement for him. There isn't another player that you plug in and say, okay, you're going to be George Kittle for this game. You're going to do what Kittle does. Maybe not to the same level, but we're going to play you. We just, as you said with Jalen Moore, we just said, okay, we haven't got Kittle, so we'll just try and play a game without a tight end. And then Salbert comes in, makes one catch and gets forgotten. And Mason is forgotten because it's like he's not McCaffrey. If we don't have the top player available, we seem to have no backup. Whereas I think other teams don't let the fact that they're missing their top player affect them that much. They play the same way with a less capable player, but the system is the same. Whereas our system seems to fall apart because Kyle hasn't got the name that he wants. And we need to do better at finding the depth. And we've not really had another pass catching tight end. Ross Dwelly, he did okay a few times, but then he gets like 2 catches a season or something because he just didn't get the targets. And that's where I think the depth has become a problem. We've been the victim of having too many single good players and not enough spread around everywhere else. And as soon as they're out, suddenly we've got holes.
Yeah. No, I think we've talked about this before. This, the jet sweep, and we do with Ricky Pearsall last week against the Bucks, and it works really well. And then Debo's back in. Oh well, no one else is going to do it but Debo. So when Debo goes in motion, it's got to be a jet sweep, isn't it? It's not going to be Juice, or it's not going to be somebody else that we don't expect. Chris Conley. Well, at some point you're asking yourself, why do we even have these people if they're not going to do anything? Well, just sack everybody. Just get 11 players. At least we'll save some money. And then, just play those 11. If we've got 10, it doesn't matter because the other ones don't do anything anyway. They're not allowed to. But yeah, it goes back to coaching and trusting, and it's not even coaching at this point. It's just personal management. It's just put somebody in and tell him, as you said, today you are George Kittle. Please prove us that you deserve to be on this team. And who knows? The guy comes out of the bag with his career day and he doesn't have to have like 6 catches for 200 yards. Even if Salbert has 3 or 4 for 90, we're happy about it. But it just doesn't happen because we just don't do it.
Well, look
So,
at Jacob
yeah.
Cowan. Jacob Cowan had that decent game against the Chiefs. I don't think he's been targeted since. I know he's been on kind of special teams and punt returns, but like you said, Najee, mix it up. Go with the 3 receiver set. Put Purcell, Cowan, Debo on one side, Jennings on the other. Play Jennings in the tight end role. I mean, we did talk some negatives, but JJ, that play was Kittle-esque. You know, it got the ball and you thought, he isn't getting that. Put the team on his back. I'm sure he would love to go in that kind of role for a couple of snaps. Mix it up. And that goes back to the original point of Shanahan. But yeah, just...
Yeah, it's just, we used to talk about how we don't know who's running back. Or is it Debo? Is it CMC? I'm saying this is old now. Why don't you, as you say, why don't you put JJ as a running back? For one play, just to mess with the defense. Even if you don't hand him the ball. It just creates confusion, and all this is just gone. And it's, as you said, I think...
It's like CMC against the Rams. When was the last... the Super Bowl where we saw CMC, JJ. But we're top heavy, aren't we, chaps? And I think that's what we're saying. The stars are supposed to put this team on the back. And when the stars aren't performing and when the injuries are kicking in, it's an average team like at the start.
Now the question is, should we have re-signed Ayuk? And should we just let him go and learn how to move on from our good players and do with what we have and promote people from within instead of just relying on what we found? Because Ayuk was a great found, but he was also a first-round pick. You expect the guy to be good when you draft him first round. So,
and to be honest, wide receiver isn't a position that's difficult to find people who are good enough.
It's not.
They always come out of the draft. There's always good wide receivers every year.
There's another 50 coming next year. It's one of those. It's more of the same, more questions that need to be answered and things that need to change, I think. Otherwise, we're just going to repeat the same problem over and over again.
I think we've been through most of the points in one way or another. We have touched on a few positives. We got anything more? JJ was good.
I mean, JJ.
Yeah, go on. We can talk more about JJ because he has been that positive contributor all season.
Yeah, I'll say now, and this is bold. If he was the only player on offense with Brock that we kept moving next year, I'd be happy.
I would keep JJ over our other 2 top wide receivers for sure.
Same, I agree.
Yeah, I would as well. I completely
even over Kittle.
That deal he signed is looking like an absolute bargain, isn't it? A habit the offense, 10 of his 11 targets for 91 yards and a touchdown. 4 of those receptions, chaps, were first downs on third down targets. So Juwan and third was back. I know you had a different nickname, Najee, but he was awesome. And that play we've alluded to, I was leaping up and down. I don't know what the atmosphere was like in Falkirk when that happened. I can imagine there was a few high fives kicking about and a few drinks maybe spilt when you were celebrating that play, Lee.
No, we're all professional drinkers, Paul. There was nothing spilt, but yes, we're all doing high fives.
You get thrown out of the inn for spilling, surely.
I was relieved to see Martin Hughes messaging this morning. I thought he survived because it was a big test for Hughesy. But it did look epic up there, Lee. It did look good. Yeah. So I hope he's had a blast, buddy.
I had almost a negative to JJ's performance, which was we used to see these wide receivers wide open, and that's gone. That has gone this season entirely. And the only thing that has been holding us together is the talent of JJ and Purdy getting it into those narrow windows. And it just reinforced to me that we've been held together by the quality of players we've got, not the quality of the scheme. And those days where we used to cut open, wide open running lanes, those don't seem to be there. The wide receivers wide open, space over the middle for Kittle or JJ, haven't seen that. We've been found out. This offense has been found out, and I think clearly Super Bowl Spags put a blueprint out for this is how you disrupt it. We haven't evolved, and everyone else has worked out this is how you just shut down all of this. And the only way the Niners move the ball is by the pure talent of the players, because it's no longer the scheme.
Yep, that's totally true.
Joy.
Yeah, I mean, people stack the box. The Seahawks almost had 9 players in the box all night,
Because we're
between 7 and
predictable.
9, because we are predictable. But the problem, and Paul said it earlier, is Brox is 9 in the box, and we still run a sweep to the left to McCaffrey. So what are we doing? You can't run against 9 players. That's not going to work in any scenario. That's ever going to work. Where is the second time man do something else, or have an audible, or just I don't know, just not run the play. It's just bad team material. That's what bad teams do. They're like, oh yeah, well, there's 17 in coverage, we'll still throw it. It's just like, no, that's not.
The argument for that, Nadji, isn't it, is apparently Shanahan scripts certain players because he wants to see what the defense is doing, and he wants to see what they can do. You're right, that play in particular, me and Connor was like, what are they doing? There's 9 in the box there. And even as good as CMC is, it was just like you said, the eye test, we're all sat at home. We don't need to be telling them, but yeah, we're shocking, man.
But you're right. Is it just Kyle thinking, oh, it's Christian McCaffrey? He's going to find a crease. He's going to find. It's just like, no. First of all, it's his second game back. He's nowhere near 100%. And there's 9 players. He's not going to go through 9 players. That's not going to happen. Yeah.
He might do.
He might do. Once every few.
But that's it. You can't rely. You can't have your game plan based on that. And this, without labouring the point too much, I think this is the symptom of the lack of OC, in the fact that there isn't somebody there maybe feeling the rhythm of the game a little bit closer and providing the options. It's the scripted, and it's that this, we don't know for sure, but this is what it looks like, isn't it? Shanahan scripted this, and he has these plays, and he thinks they should work, and then they don't, and he's not got the ability to adjust, because an offensive coordinator can sit there when we're playing defense, doesn't have to watch the game. It's not his business when we're on defense. He can sit there and look through his iPad and work out what to do. Shanahan can't. Who is doing that for our team? Because Shanahan's got to pay attention when the defense is on to see what's going on, obviously.
Yeah,
and
you watch it.
There's no adjustment.
Yeah, that's it. You watch every other game, and they go to the booth, and there's 3 or 4 people all around high-fiving or talking to each other. That's such a strength. There is a reason why people do this. The reason team have quality control calls, an assistant coach, and play callers up in the booth. There's a reason for it. It's because you can decipher the game faster.
Staley, didn't we? We expected Staley to
where is he? We haven't even seen him.
And where's he? And you talk about like your divisional rivals. McDonald was brought in by the Seahawks because of that game with the Ravens, and they wanted a defensive-minded head coach. And like you said, it's a copycat league. Shanahan's put enough on game tape over the years, and obviously we kind of escaped with one in Seattle, but this could be a measure of things to come. And like you said, Najee, bring someone in, have someone sat up there and tell you what's going on, what they're seeing. It shouldn't be hard.
No.
But let's face it, we know that's not going to happen, I think, and that's an inevitability.
The past hasn't proven that he can do that. Hopefully he can evolve as a coach, and realize that something needs to change, and hopefully, because that's one of the positive, right? This kind of thing, ultimately, if he takes it on board, will make him a better coach. And if he stays with us and does indeed become a better coach, that's good for us. It's just very painful to go through the process. I was listening to Johnny Dell's podcast, and they were obviously talking about Andy Reid and how long it took him to get to where he is now. And I think that's where we are with Kyle Shanahan. Unfortunately, we're in that thing where he's 7 years old in the league. That's not that long, considering the other coach like Tomlin have been doing it for 20 plus years. Hopefully, let's put some positive spin on this. This is a building block to him being the legendary coach that we will talk to our grandkids, etc., in 20, 30 years. So
I'm glad you mentioned Johnny Dells, though, because he put a tweet out earlier, Nadji, which said that for him, the worst bit of the game, which is overlooked in the unpicking of the horror that was that game, was after we picked off Geno Smith and Purdy scrambled at the 8-yard line. An unnecessary hold by Banks, brought it back, and then he's put it was a silly alignment penalty. 2nd and 2 from the 8 became 1st and 25, then 1st and 31. And he put that was a difference. So when he's gone back and watched the game tape, he's a braver man than me because I haven't been able to put that one on today. He said that's what stands out, and that was a difference, 4 points. And we talk about fine margins in the NFL, and we're not finding excuses here, Gareth. It's all relevant to the conversation. Full credit to Seattle. They deserved that win last night. That was the first thing that I said when the game finished. No excuses from me. And I will get a lot of grief at training this week because some of the young cadets that I coach are Seahawks fans. So I know fine well what's happening to me on Saturday, chaps. But you've got to take it. So I just wanted to mention Johnny Dell there because he's been a pretty good friend of the show.
He's good. I know it's going to be a hard watch, that YouTube video that he's going to put out soon, but I think it'll be worth it for everybody to watch and see why we lost this game. But yeah, you're right. The Seahawks are a better team on the night.
There we are. You've been quiet, Lee, and I feel the need to cheer you up. So, should we look at score predictions?
Well,
Instantaneous! Oh dear, look at that.
Hey, I'm not last anymore. What was the points per 4 people then?
So you got 5 points.
I got 5 for the 20. Yeah.
Both me and Paul got 2
it.
points each because we both went 17, so within 3. And Gareth got a big fat 0.
Oh dear. And I assume the pod faithful did.
So that hasn't been updated on our poddy sheet yet.
So they're probably going to go first.
Yeah.
So for the people that are listening,
maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not. But for the people listening that don't, go on YouTube and you can see the graphics. But Lee's still first with 56, so plus 2. The faithful so on 54, but I think Kev will update that soon. I would assume maybe 56, maybe a bit more. We'll see. Paul in third with 53, so it's very close. I've climbed up a space, closing the gap with 50 points. And Gareth is basically us. He's just following the Niners, following into this pair with 49 points. I mean, that's a good point to have, 49, I guess.
I'm reassured by the fact that it's only 49 points, but it is 100% clean points.
True, very true. My points are all clean too, so I'm very happy with that. The problem is if we keep playing this way, we might not have that many clean points.
I was thinking about that, to be honest.
Yes, totally.
It's just.
I might have to dip into dirty points at some point. So.
Yeah,
I don't want the trophy that badly. You just can have it, chaps. You can have it. Yeah. There's only 7 games left. Oh man.
Yeah,
well,
it's all a bit of fun, but when that
fun,
game was finishing, with my own score predictions, where I could not have cared less.
No,
watching those last 3 minutes and just like the one saving grace is at least it wasn't a prime time up at 4 a.m. Staying up for that. So
very true. So yeah, next up, Green Bay at theirs in the cold snow. I watched a bit of that game. It's definitely winnable. They're not very good at all. But
you mean when the Bears should have won? And it was a kicker.
Yeah,
Who knew? Jake Moody's not the only kicker that can miss kicks.
Kickers having trouble all over the league.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about special teams.
So, we won't.
Probably why Mason wasn't on the field.
Well, you were talking about the score predictions, and if you cast your mind back to last year, and Steve Wilkes was getting a lot of heat. He actually held opponents scoreless in the 4th quarter in 11 games. This year, we've allowed points in every 4th quarter in every game. So the score prediction last year was a breeze because we get the 4th quarter. Teams weren't scoring. This year, it's like watching from behind your eyes. And 7 games left, chaps. Are we feeling confident, or is the sky falling in that, G?
No, it's not falling in. We're 4-5. The division's very close. We can very easily win it. We need to beat the Rams and the Cardinals.
Yeah,
absolutely. Otherwise,
and everyone else in between.
And the Bills, who have just beaten someone pretty decent. And
playing them in 2 weeks. That's going to be fun. Yay!
It's got to be said. Shanahan has turned this round. We keep expecting it to happen. We clung on for the bye week. We clung on for CMC coming back. I think we're clinging on for maybe Dre or other players coming back. We'll see how long Bosa's out. We'll see how long Kittle is out. But this my talking point of running out of time, there was a lot of different levels to that, and the margin for error is evaporating very quickly. If you
we're
see
hanging on by a thread.
We are hanging on by a thread.
the playoff percentage, I think we started at 59. We could have gone up to 66 with a win, and I think we've plummeted down to now below 30%.
Yeah,
So
27 at the moment. I saw that stat before we went live.
It's going to be a tough battle.
It is.
Tough battle.
It is. But there we go. Anyway, I think that's enough therapy, ranting, and other stuff. So, yeah, I've had enough.
Well, I don't know. There's one last final point. We all talk about curses and watch parties. Apparently, Nadji, Chris Wood, bad planning, Chris, ran out of Pringles. So there is a public service announcement, Gareth. If you live near Chris,
also,
please get those Pringles to him, because apparently that is the reason, chaps. We're 2-4 in close games this year, and I'd love to see the stats on when he's run out of Pringles.
Yeah,
and he's going to be cringely because we mentioned it on Discord that it was getting mentioned on the pod.
Yeah, it was. Also, not allowed to eat green Pringles when we play against the Seahawks. It's got to be original all the way, and keep the Pringles going till the end of the games, please.
Who said we were a superstitious bunch, yeah?
On a more serious note, the Discord was very good until it was a little harder to be good, but still very good. There was a lot of very good discussion, and I will say again, if you come in to just be negative, just out of the blue, and you've not posted the whole thread, and you come in and you say we suck, fire everyone, I'm just going to delete that, and it'll be strike one, and you'll be told not to do that again. If you do, I'll just remove you. You are allowed to be annoyed. You are allowed to be angry. I will say, and this is what I do, just put the phone down. No one needs to know your opinion on the night. Everybody's feeling one way or another. Everybody's feeling pretty down. If you can't be constructive and have a civil and gentle conversation with people you can disagree with, because that's allowed to. You are allowed to disagree with each other. But if you can't do that civilly, just put your phone down. Go to sleep and just stay off internet for a couple of days. Come back to it, and everything is fine. I know it's self-control and it's difficult, but I think it was pretty good. I think the group has responded all right. It's been a hard day at the office for the admin, but always is when we lose like this. It's difficult, but I think our hard work is paying off. It's a lot easier now that it's been past few years, when we were really terrible.
I mean, to be fair, you are right, Nadji. Frustrated was one of the words I was getting today. And as the definition, feeling or expressing distress and annoyance resulting from an inability to change or achieve something. We've all felt like that today. And when I switched the wall back on this morning, boss, and I put the Shanahan looking gloomy next to the box, and I put, please remember the group roles. We get people will be frustrated, but let's keep things respectful. And I've had some good discussions with people who otherwise I hadn't in the past.
Just like we had today.
And I think it's been bubbling away because we were all frustrated. We're all 49ers fans. Yes, we all want to win the Super Bowl. I get it. And people have got different levels of fandom. Like you said, Nadji, the self-control, put the phone down. But we're a family. We love everybody, especially those people who listen to the podcast. We want that engagement. And as Nadji Kara said, the sky isn't falling in.
No, no. What I'm saying is, don't argue with each other. We're all fans of the same team. We all want the same team. Don't fight between each other because you have two different opinions. Just agree to have two different opinions. It's totally okay. If you think we should fire Kyle, that's fine. If you think we shouldn't, that's fine. But don't fight over it. Just don't try and change people's mind either. Everybody's frustrated and angry. It's not going to go well, especially on social media. Not a good place to do so. But we're managing. It's all good. We'll beat the Packers and everything will be fine.
And Lee Gowland was looking better tonight. Nobody had that as a bold prediction after his performance last week. So Lee, well done, buddy.
So I've got to say that is my one and only positive from last night. I came out unscathed. Well, relatively unscathed.
Relatively unscathed. Yeah. That's very difficult to do.
Anybody watching last week?
I was a lot better than last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, before we finish off, Nadji, I know you don't like the salute to service stuff, but that jacket Carl Shanahan had, that was a Discord memory for the ages. We were all searching the internet for that jacket. Wayne Humphrey, I have my money on you getting it first, but the salute to service jacket that Kyle had on last nightly was pretty fire. And when things were going well in the first half, we were all talking about that. So that will be a memory. It's a bit like that Hawkins guy last year. You have these moments in Discord that stays in the memory.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it on that note, Gareth.
I think we should. Let's wrap it up. Thanks, guys, and thanks to everyone who listens to the show. Hopefully, you feel a little bit better about that. That's all that can be said, really. The sky isn't falling in. We will be back later to preview what has turned into potentially pretty much a must-win game against the Packers. But while it still hurts, we ain't done yet. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, OC.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't